Let's start by creating a database. The majority of your database creation will be done in the Online Designer. Here, you have a list of all the instruments or forms in your project. REDCap uses the terms instrument and form interchangeably. You can hit the Create button to create an instrument from scratch, or you can use the Import button to pull in an instrument from the REDCap shared library, which is a collection of instruments put together and monitored by one of the groups in the REDCap consortium. Any instrument that has a red star next to it is a validated instrument that has gone through a significant screening process to ensure that it is both free for use and that it has been translated accurately from paper to electronic format. If you're using a validated instrument that is relatively common and open to public use, you might want to check the REDCap library before you create it, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can also upload an instrument from another project. Once you've created your instrument, you can make changes to it by clicking on the title. To create a new field, click on the Add Field button. To edit an existing field, click on the pencil icon. There are many types of fields that you could use in a REDCap project. Use a text box to display free text as one line, or a notes box to display free text as several lines. They both have a 65,000 character limit. Calculated fields do calculations. There are 3 types of multiple choice questions: yes, no, and true, false questions, an e-signature field, a field to upload files, a slider field, a field for descriptive text to write out instructions or add media, and section headers that break up the text. The field label is where you type out the question as you want it to be seen on the data entry form or survey. For example, a field label might be, "Please tell us your age," or "How many packs of cigarettes do you smoke in a week?" or "When were you diagnosed with diabetes?" The variable name is a short alphanumeric name that you'll use to identify your field on the back end when you're doing analysis, and is how REDCap identifies your variable as something unique. This should be something relatively short and meaningful enough that it makes sense when you do your analysis. You also have the option to validate your text fields. If you want people to enter words in your text field, you won't have to validate it, but for most other kinds of text fields you will. For example, if you're using dates, you'll need to note the date format or the date-time format. You can validate fields as email, integers only, a number to multiple decimal places, a phone number, a time, or a zip code. There are 2 reasons to validate a field. One is to prevent data entry errors, since a validated field won't accept a different type of data. The other is to ensure fields are exported appropriately. For example, if a numbers field is not validated, then it will export as text, meaning it would sort as 1, 10, 11, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The validation would then have to be manually changed later. Validating fields correctly in the beginning saves a lot of time and effort. So, as this is an age field, I'm going to validate it as an integer. The minimum and maximum provide an expected range for the field. I expect my participants to have an age between 18 and 80. These are soft validations, meaning people can enter other values, but they'll get a quick pop-up letting them know they might need to check their answer. You can make a field required by selecting Yes to the Required option under Validation. On a data entry form filled out by a researcher, there will just be a prompt that this field has been left blank. On a survey form filled out by a participant, participants will not be able to move on until they provide an answer in the field. You can mark the field as containing potentially identifying information, like name, birthday, or address. You can give it a custom alignment, which just says where the box or multiple choice answers appear in relation to the field label. And you can give it a field note a small textual reminder that displays underneath the field exactly like it does under the field note field. For multiple choice fields, you'll select which of the 3 multiple choice fields you want: drop-down list, radio buttons, or checkboxes. Give it a field label and variable name, then list all potential answer choices in the choices box, with 1 answer per line. If, partway through your study, you decide you want to add an answer choice, you can do so at any time. However, you should not renumber answer choices. If I want to add the choice physical therapy, I should not insert the number in the middle of my existing choices. If I try to do that, anything that was biomedical sciences is now going to read as physical therapy. Anything that was psychology is now going to read as biomedical sciences. And anything that was physician assistant is now going to read as psychology. You should never recode your variables. Instead, just assign the next number on the list. The order of these coded choices doesn't matter. It just matters that they're unique, and you don't change it. Another very common option for a multiple choice question is wanting an NA or other answer option. It's considered best practices in data circles to give them a big number, usually 2 or 3 digits, like 88 or 99. This sets it apart from the rest of your answer choices. If you have multiple choice questions that all have the same answer choice, you don't have to type it out every single time. Instead, you can go to Copy Existing Choices and find the example of the one that matches how you want it to look, and click Use. This way, you keep your coding consistent across all your multiple choice fields, which helps prevent errors when you're doing your analysis. It can also save time. Drop-down fields have one small difference compared to radio buttons or checkbox fields. In the drop-down fields, you have the option to enable autocomplete for the drop-down, so that as people are typing, it tries to autocomplete the answer for them. Next are slider fields. Creating a slider field is done in the same basic way as all the other fields, with the small difference that instead of displaying answer choices, you provide labels for the different points in the slider. You do not have to put in labels, and you do not have to fill in all the label fields. Slider fields are scored on a 0 to 100 scale, and you can choose whether the person entering the information can see that number value. Custom alignment can also be a little bit more interesting with slider fields, because you can make them horizontal, which is the default, or vertical. Next, we have descriptive fields. Descriptive fields have the same field label and variable name setup that all the other fields do. If you're using the descriptive field to provide instructions, you'd put them into the field label. You can use the descriptive field for file attachments. Here, I have a picture uploaded and displayed inline so that it's automatically seen when the page loads. If I wanted to, I could change that to a link where participants can download the picture. This is great if, for example, you want your participants to download a consent form. You can also embed audio files that participants could listen to or download, or you could link to an external video, such as a YouTube video. Doing this is easy. Find the video, wherever it is hosted, and paste the URL in the Embed an External Video field. Again, you can choose if you want it inline so participants can play it as they're filling out the form, or place it in a pop-up window. If you select Inside Pop-up, participants click the Watch Video button, and they get a pop-up window to let them play it. The next kind of field is a yes-no field. we actually recommend that you don't use the yes, no, or the true, false fields, because the choices are hard-coded with the 1 yes, 0 no, or 1 true, 0 false. This assignment is common in data management, but researchers sometimes decide partway through the project that 2 answer choices are no longer considered sufficient. In that case, you have to go and change this to a multiple choice field, and may forget the existing codes. Meaning that what was yes is now coded no. All of the no answers are lost, and you would have to start from scratch with the new yes and NA fields. Therefore, to save yourself the time and trouble, start by creating yes-no fields as multiple choice questions. File upload fields are where a participant or data enterer can upload their own document. These all have a field label and a variable name. Similarly, the e-signature field is simply a field label and a variable name. The final kind of field is a section header. Section headers are yellow bars that help break forms into easily manageable chunks and let people know what's coming up in the next group of questions. These don't have a variable name to worry about. Only an optional field label. The other thing I want to show you here is how I've used a little bit of HTML to change the color of the text and to center it. You can use HTML in different kinds of REDCap fields, such as field labels, answer choices, or in survey invitations. You can find HTML coding for PCOM brand colors, together with links to HTML coding for other colors, on the REDCap LibGuide at libguides.pcom.edu/REDCap. These are the most basic features of the Online Designer. We'll go over some of the more advanced features in other videos.